Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something that's both fascinating and a little bit freaky.
Yeah, a little creepy
The
even.
Mandela effect. You know those moments where you have a super clear memory of something,
Totally, like crystal clear.
but then it turns out it's completely wrong?
Yeah, it's like your memory is playing tricks on you.
Exactly. It's like a collective brain glitch. And get this, we've got a ton of research here to try to figure out why this
We're
happens.
going to break it all down for you.
We'll look at what the Mandela effect is, some famous examples, and the psychology behind it.
All that good stuff.
So to kick things off, where did the term even come from? Like Mandela effect. Where'd that come from?
Well, it was coined by Fiona Broome. She's a paranormal researcher.
Okay.
And she noticed a lot of people, herself included, they vividly remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s.
Oh, wow. I actually remember that too.
Right,
But he was released in 1990.
exactly. And he lived until 2013.
Well, so how do we explain this? Like, how can so many people have the same wrong memory?
That is the big question. One explanation could be this psychological thing called confabulation.
Confabulation.
Yeah. It's basically where our brains make up memories, not on purpose, though.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
not like people are lying. They genuinely believe these false memories.
So it's like their brains are filling in the gaps, making things up to make sense of it all.
Exactly. And that's what makes the Mandela effect so intriguing. It really makes you question the reliability of your own memory.
Yeah. If we could be so wrong about something like that, what else are we misremembering?
And it's not just about Mandela either. There are tons of other examples.
Oh, yeah, I bet we've all experienced it in some way.
Absolutely. A classic one is the Berenstain Bears books. A lot of people swear it was Berenstein with an E.
Hold on, wasn't it? Berenstein?
Nope. Always been Berenstain with an A.
Whoa, my mind is blown. I could have sworn it was with an E.
Another popular one is the Monopoly Man. People picture him with a monocle.
Oh, yeah, with the monocle and the top hat. Right.
Right. Except he never had a monocle?
Are you serious? This is wild.
Yeah, but this false memory is super common.
Okay, now this is getting a little creepy.
Right.
What other famous examples are there? Like, is there more?
Oh, there are plenty. Let's take Darth Vader's line, the iconic one, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah, Luke, I am your father. Everyone knows that one.
Well, the actual line is, no, I am your father.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, but the misremembered version is so popular, so many people believe it's what they heard in the movie.
Our brains are so easily tricked.
They really are. Here's another one, Pikachu, from Pokemon.
Yeah, Pikachu. I love Pikachu.
A lot of fans remember his tail having a black tip,
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Black tip on the tail for sure.
but it's completely yellow. No black tip at all.
I am questioning everything I thought I knew about my childhood right now.
It's a trip, right? The Mandela effect makes you realize our memories are not as reliable as we think.
So if our memories can be this distorted, like what are some of the psychological theories that explain this whole thing?
Well, one of the leading explanations is this concept of false memories.
Okay, false memories, what does that mean?
Our brains kind of blend real experiences with made-up details.
So we create these vivid memories that are actually like partly inaccurate.
Exactly. And our brains are always trying to figure things out.
Right.
Sometimes they just invent details that weren't actually there.
Wow, that makes sense actually.
Mm.
So is that kind of like the confabulation thing we talked about before?
They're definitely related. Confabulation is more about filling in those memory gaps,
I see.
while false memories are more about merging real and imagined stuff.
So it's like a big mix of different memory processes happening in our brains.
Exactly. And then there's this whole other concept. It's called social contagion.
Social contagion. That sounds kind of scary.
It's not as bad as it sounds.
Okay.
It's basically the idea that we can pick up false memories from other people.
So it's like, if everyone around me keeps saying something happened a certain way, I might start to believe it too.
Exactly. The people around us can really shape our memories. So our memories aren't just our own, they're influenced by all sorts of things.
Wow. I never thought about it like that.
Right, and this is where the internet comes in.
Oh yeah, the internet. How does that play into it?
It's kind of amplified the Mandela effect in ways we never could have imagined before.
I can see how that would happen. People sharing their memories online, even if they're inaccurate.
Right. Social media, forums, websites, they all create these echo chambers.
Where people just reinforce each other's, like, false memories.
Exactly. It makes those memories spread even faster and seem even more believable.
Wow, it's like a breeding ground for these memory glitches.
And speaking of the internet, it's also fueled a lot of the conspiracy theories about the Mandela effect.
Oh yeah, the conspiracy theories.
Mhm.
I'm curious about those. What are some of the explanations people have come up with? Oh, I know some people say it's like evidence for alternate realities or parallel universes.
Yeah, that's a popular one. The idea is that we're all shifting between different timelines or dimensions, and each one has slightly different versions of events.
That's wild. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It definitely is. It's fun to think about, but there's no actual scientific proof for parallel universes explaining the Mandela effect.
Okay, so what do actual scientists think about all this?
Psychologists and neuroscientists are actually super interested in this stuff.
Really?
Yeah. The Mandela effect gives them this unique window into how memory works and how it can get so messed up.
I guess it makes sense. It's like studying the glitches in our brains.
That's right. They've done a bunch of studies showing how easy it is to manipulate and influence our memories.
Like how even small suggestions can make us remember things wrong.
Yep. There's this famous study. They showed people a video of a car accident, and then they asked some questions about it.
Okay, what kind of questions?
Some were asked, how fast was the car going when it smashed into the other car? While others were asked, how fast was the car going when it hit the other car?
I bet the word smashed made people think the car was going way faster, even though everyone saw the same video.
You got it. Just changing one word totally changed people's memories of the accident.
Wow, that's crazy how much words can affect our memories.
And neuroscientists are even figuring out which parts of the brain are involved in making these false memories.
Like which parts?
Well, the hippocampus, the part that helps form memories, seems to be really prone to errors.
So the part that's supposed to store our memories can also mess them up?
It seems that way. It suggests our memories aren't like permanent files in our brains. They're constantly being rewritten and interpreted every time we access them.
It's kind of freaky to think our memories are that changeable.
Right. It challenges what we think about memory and how reliable our own experiences really are.
So we talked about all the psychology stuff, but what about culture? Does culture play a role in shaping these collective false memories?
Absolutely. Think about how much we learn from movies, books, TV, even ads. All these things create a shared narrative that can be incredibly powerful.
So if a movie misquotes a famous line, or like a history book gets something wrong, could that lead to a widespread false memory?
Exactly. Our brains don't always separate fact from fiction, especially when something's repeated a lot or becomes part of pop culture.
Like the Darth Vader line, right?
Yep.
Luke, I am your father. Just sounds way more dramatic.
It does, right? And our brains often prefer the more exciting or emotional version, even if it's not the real one.
That's so interesting. And then the internet comes along and just throws gasoline on the fire.
You got it. It lets these cultural misunderstandings and false memories spread super fast.
It's like this giant feedback loop of myth information.
Right. And that can totally change how we see history, current events, even our own personal lives.
So the Mandela effect isn't just a weird thing. It's like a warning about the power of culture and how important critical thinking is, especially online.
That's a great way to put it.
Speaking of questioning things, one of the most mind-blowing aspects of the Mandela effect is how it makes you rethink reality itself.
Yeah, it really does challenge our ideas about what's real and what's not.
If our memories can be so distorted, how can we be sure of anything?
It suggests that reality might be way more subjective and fluid than we think.
Like, maybe there isn't one single truth, but a bunch of different perspectives based on our own experiences and memories.
Exactly. It's a really deep philosophical question.
My mind is officially blown.
It's a fascinating concept, right? And that's why the Mandela effect keeps grabbing people's attention.
It forces us to confront the limits of our own minds and consider new ways of understanding the world.
I agree.
This has been such a wild ride through the world of human memory.
It has.
It made me realize I take my own memories for granted, and they've been shaped by so much stuff I never even considered.
It's definitely a humbling realization.
So before we wrap things up, I have to ask, what's your take on the Mandela effect? Do you believe in all that parallel universe stuff?
Oh, that's a great question. I do think those theories are super intriguing, but I personally lean more towards the scientific explanations, like psychology and neuroscience.
So you think it's more likely our brains are just making things up, not that we're actually jumping between timelines?
That's how I see it, yeah. But it's important to stay open-minded because we still have so much to learn about consciousness and reality.
That's true. There's still so much we don't know.
Exactly. The Mandela effect reminds us there's always more to discover, and our understanding of the world is always changing.
And that our memories aren't always what we think they are.
Definitely not. It's a humbling thought, but also pretty fascinating.
Makes you wonder just how much of what we think we know about history, about our own lives, is actually a bit, off.
It really does. And that's why it's so crucial to stay open to new information, to be willing to change our minds when we learn something new.
Totally. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The psychology, the cultural impact, even the conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we went down some rabbit holes with that.
We did. But ultimately, what does it all mean for us, like in our everyday lives? Why should we care about the Mandela effect?
That's the big question, right? Well, for one thing, it shows us how much we can't always rely on our memories.
Yeah, that's kind of scary when you think about it.
It is. Even when memories feel super real, they could still be wrong. So we got to be a little more skeptical, a little more critical of information, especially nowadays with all the fake news and stuff online.
That's a good point. It's like we have to double check everything.
Exactly. Don't just take things at face value, verify things before you share them, and, be aware of your own biases.
Be a smart internet user, basically.
Exactly. And this is especially important when it comes to stuff like eyewitness testimony.
Oh, yeah, that's true. If our memories could be so easily twisted, how much can we really trust what people say they saw?
It's a huge issue. The legal system is starting to pay more attention to how false memories can mess things up.
So the Mandela effect isn't just some fun brain game. It actually has real-world consequences.
It really does. It affects how we understand ourselves, how we interact with information, even how our courts work.
Okay, well, as we wrap up this deep dive into the Mandela effect, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. If our memories are this unreliable, this easily influenced, what does that tell us about reality itself?
Whoa, that's a big one.
It is. It makes you wonder, is reality as solid and objective as we think? Or is it more like flexible and open to interpretation?
It definitely raises those questions. It's like our individual experiences, our memories, they all contribute to how we see the world, and those perceptions can be so different from person to person.
And maybe that's not a bad thing.
Maybe it's what makes reality so interesting.
I love that. So it's not just about misremembering facts. It's about questioning the very foundation of how we experience the world and being open to the possibility that there's more to it than meets the eye.
Exactly. Stay curious, keep asking questions, and embrace the mystery.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This has been an awesome deep dive into the Mandela effect. Thanks for joining me today and sharing your expertise.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
And for all of you listening, if you enjoyed this exploration of the Mandela effect and you're ready to dive into more weird and fascinating topics, make sure to subscribe to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time. Until then, stay curious.